Hi everybody, it's Hayden Crawford here from the Dreamtime Academy and welcome to the Starseed Awakening 2020. Today we're looking at the pitfalls of being a empath or a sensitive little starseed, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, just being overly sensitive. Like we need to look at what the pitfalls are as well as the positives. Of course, you know, there's both. But yeah, for a lot of us that are here doing this work on the planet, you know, we are hypersensitive. So we are taking on feelings, emotions from those that are nearest and dearest, as well as what's happening on the earth at the moment as well. So a lot of us are in a state of flux at the moment with regards to, like, you know, just having all this extra energy that we don't know where it's come from and feeling this deep sadness. Like for me, for example, like I woke up a couple of nights ago in the middle of the night and I could almost, like I was hovering in space looking down at the earth. And I just remember feeling and thinking, why the freaking hell are we here? Like, what are we actually doing here? Like, why are we in this dark corner of the universe on this planet that's just so isolated from anywhere? Like, and it was just like this realization that I had of like, what is this actually all about? This is just such a crazy experience to be having, because, you know, it is only really a small planet if you think about it compared to the size of the universe. And then all of a sudden it's just like, why have I chosen to have this experience? You know, I've obviously chosen this at a soul level, and why is this happening to the earth right now? Like, why all of a sudden in 2020 is this happening? And, you know, and how is it going to change us? And also, how is it going to improve us or make things worse? So there's actually like quite a lot of real questions that sensitive empaths have. And of course, you can end up driving yourself a little bit crazy when you start overanalyzing it. So what are your thoughts? I'd be interested, first of all, to find out what your thoughts are about all of this. You know, where do you feel the earth is going? What do you feel is the purpose of life on the planet? You know, like, what is it? Why do you think that you're here? Have you do you believe that this is just one big experiment? Or do you feel like it's something that's very natural and organic? Or do you feel like a lot of it is just lies? You know, do we actually really exist on a spherical earth? Or do we exist on a flat earth like a lot of the flat earthers believe? Or is it just a projection or an illusion, some sort of crazy matrix? You know, what is the reality of life on earth? You know, so we have, as sensitive starseeds, we are very compassionate usually towards other people, and often we find that we are very intuitive and often quite psychic as well, and we can actually be telepathic as well. So we can actually go and look at what other people are thinking and feeling and be able to communicate from a higher self perspective to each other without necessarily needing to use verbal communication. So what other skills and experiences do you have, you know, where you've noticed you using those skills without having to verbally communicate? So I'd be really interested to find out. So hello to Christina Shams, and hi to Bonnie Capel as well. Joe Hayden's here. Hiya, Joe. Thank you very much for the little donation there in a lovely turquoise color. That's beautiful. And Haley says, good morning. Just popping in quickly to say hi. I'm off to the dentist this morning. I hopefully nothing is going to be whipped out this time around. I know what the dentists can be like. You know, it can be quite a fearful experience for a lot of us, especially if you haven't been for a while. And yeah, after having 4 impacted wisdom teeth removed several years ago when I first came to Australia, I know exactly what that can feel like. So Bonnie says, I hear that I don't know, and I've been asking myself that question since I can remember when I was a kid. 50 years of wondering. It's just, you know, I think it's becoming more heightened now as well, because obviously, you know, things aren't necessarily as easy as they used to be in a lot of cases, you know, and in a lot of cases, you know, they're actually better. So for me, for example, you know, it's like, even though I can see this global transitioning taking place, and I can see a lot of people struggling through this whole earth split, you know, for me, it's actually, I'm not feeling it in that way. I'm seeing this period as being quite euphoric and actually quite enlightening. And although that, you know, I sort of do question life more, I still have this underlying feeling of everything being perfect, you know. So it's almost like a bit of a juxtaposition and a bit of an irony that's associated with, with everything that's taking place. There's a lot of faith in what's taking place, but there's also a lot of doubt, and it's a flux between those two worlds. It's like from being an avid conspiracy theorist to being somebody who just trusts the whole process of what's going on, and trusts that actually we are being looked after by our governments and things like that. So there's a lot of flux, I think, that's taking place with quite a few of us. How are you finding that? Are you finding that's where you're going as well? So yeah, so leave a few comments and let me know what you think about that. Now today I'm looking at empaths in a bit more detail, so actually shining a bit of a light into that, and also the relationship between empaths and narcissism as well, because obviously the two come hand in hand. We've got to look at the sort of the cycle that can appear really when when an empath meets a narcissist, and they become their rescuer. And of course, then they become the victim and all of that as well. So, it's almost like that whole cycle just keeps on repeating itself. Have any of you guys ever been in a relationship that you would construe as being narcissistic, and also, how did you manage to get out of it? Or are you still in it? Let me know what you think. So Joe Hayden says, I completely hear you on the energy level. I'm working every day on staying in my heart and not buying into the fear. Though Bonnie says, I just found you the other day and I'm a unicorn empath. Oh, beautiful. I love that. That's so gorgeous. A unicorn empath. Wow. Beautiful. So nice. And tell me more about a unicorn empath. What is a unicorn empath, and what do you do? That would be really interesting to sort of learn a little bit more about that. Now I'm just finding my more information that I've got on actually we could start off by talking about low self-esteem, because I think that a lot of empaths do suffer from that. So like for me, for example, when I was 16, I was told by a clairvoyant at a psychic fair that I was one of the most sensitive people that she'd met that day. Now, back then, I didn't really understand what that meant. I was just like, well, I knew I was a little bit different to the other boys at school, but I couldn't really, sort of label it or pinpoint it. But I actually went through many years of self-doubt and low self-esteem through, from, all the way through my teens. And actually into my 20s as well, where I wouldn't be assertive and I wouldn't know what I wanted. So there were really, challenging times, which contributed to the deep level of empathy that I now offer, obviously, to my clients and assist them on their individual journeys. So, for me, working as a wellness intuitive is a bit like being a guide, taking people through a maze where, instead of turning around and trying to avoid the blockages, they kind of smash through them and work their way through those shadows and blockages, so that they can remember their true purpose and actually shine a light into the fears, illuminate them, so that they can move forward. So living the low life is actually quite challenging, and low self-esteem emerges from a belief that you are less than other people. And if you suffer from it, then it may experience a range of negative emotions such as fear, insecurity, and anxiety on a regular basis. So in its extreme form, it can actually lead to panic attacks. So, have you, as being a unicorn empath, have you ever experienced panic attacks before, or, this feeling of not being, good enough, or being less than other people? It's a really key sign, and it's all held within the solar plexus, this energy. It's your power center, and sometimes it can actually manifest as disruptions within your digestive system. So Bonnie says, I was in a marriage to one over 10 years. And then I was in a relationship for 6 to 7 years with another narcissist. And it almost pushed me to the edge of suicide. They can suck the life out of you. Absolutely, they can, Bonnie. They really can. And it's great that you were able to wake up to it and actually recognize that, often you go from one narcissistic relationship to the next. I had no self-esteem, no self-confidence, and I had major anxiety and panic attacks as well. Yeah. So Joe Hayden says, narcissism, I've got working on that right now with my mother. Talk about the synchronicity. Well, this is the thing, you know, like, remember, narcissistic relationships aren't just our spouses, you know, our husbands or wives or our partners. They're also connected very much to, you know, our family as well, your mum and your dad and people like that. So what do you think, Christina and Mar? Have you ever you know, experienced narcissistic relationships? There you go. So Haley says, damn, another live. I wish I could participate. Well, we rewatch this afternoon. Yes, absolutely, Haley. You know, this is something that's very common to Starseeds, because obviously we are such giving, you know, sort of intuitive, caring, sensitive, nurturing people. A lot of the time, you know, they will naturally attract the narcissist that will want to, you know, sort of take that energy and have it for themselves, and then in the process strip you bare, you know, so that you feel completely drained. So Oracle of the Mermaid says, Hayden, what's going on in the colorful clubhouse today? We're talking about low self-esteem, we're talking about empathy, and we're talking about the pitfalls of being a sensitive empath, and also, you know, narcissism as well, and narcissistic relationships on all sorts of different forms. So yeah, okay, so we want to talk a bit more about, you know, sort of the you know, the sort of byproduct of hypersensitivity. You know, it can lead to a lack of assertiveness, lack of confidence, poor boundaries within relationships, self-sabotaging, anxiety, sexual dysfunction as well comes up, or depression, and symptoms of low self-esteem can sometimes last for many years. So it's best to recognize them so that you can take the necessary steps to eliminate them and prevent you from because they will prevent you from living a very prosperous and fulfilling life. So the way to overcome, you know, this low self-esteem is to get up and get involved. Sensitive souls who suffer from low self-esteem tend to segregate themselves or avoid engaging in new activities to avoid appearing weak or looking foolish. For me, I chose not to get involved in any competitive sports at school, as I believed as I was not as athletic as my classmates, even though I actually was. You know, I was a very fast runner, etc., etc. I always didn't like the competition and all of that sort of ego that was associated with it, so I'd back away from it. And of course, I was the one that was always last to be picked in the football teams, and that knocked on in me having even lower self-esteem. And yeah, for some reason, I just couldn't understand why other kids, and especially the guys, wouldn't really understand or relate to me. And you know, it was because I was just overanalyzing things. I was very sensitive, and I didn't have the same interests as them. You know, like looking at tits and football, basically. So yeah, so there you go. So Bonnie says, I'm in therapy for PTSD, and thankful for that, because it's really helping me a lot. I'm really pleased, because post-traumatic stress disorder will crop up a lot with sensitive starseeds as well. I've also experienced that recently, and it's definitely not something I'd like to experience again. And it's and I'd never had it before in my life, you know, up until sort of recently. And then it sort of, yeah, it sort of knocked me for six a little bit. But there are beautiful, gentle ways in which we can move beyond PTSD, and a lot of the time it's feeling safe and secure. So I use a lot of red energy to help me with mine. Oracle of the Mermaid says, I've always remembered the day my therapist gave me a book, and just reading the title changed my life. Will I ever be good enough? Yeah, that's true. Healing my daughters of narcissistic mothers. Healing the daughters of narcissistic mothers. There you go. So I'm glad that's helped to change your life. I think there's a really great a great lady who deals with low self-esteem and that type of thing as well. Breen Brown, she's amazing. Like you know, following her work is very, very important. Bonnie says, wow, I totally relate to you. Chris, I have used to date narcissists over and over, then realized it was me filling a void or trying to help them. So I've broken the cycle this past year, and have really after a really bad last relationship. Well, Christina, I had no idea that you'd been through that. So so you were involved in a really bad relationship that turned a bit sour, did it? If you'd like to elaborate a little bit more, that'd be great for you to open up and share. That would be really cool. So, you know, empaths may also remain in these toxic relationships for a fear of being alone, and they actually prefer to stay quiet or back down to avoid confrontation. That's what I would do, is I'll just back down, so that I wouldn't, because I'm a Libra and as well, I don't like confrontation at all. So until the age of 30, I actually attracted a series of really controlling partners myself, who wanted me to themselves and would get jealous and possessive if I spoke to anyone else. And that was like up until the age of about 30. I would find that, you know, it would almost restrict my, you know, my communication, just the person who I am as naturally as quite a flirtatious human being. You know, I found I put all that on hold. So that was very difficult. Unfortunately, now that I'm in a very loving marriage, but, you know, up until the age of 30, it was one disaster after the next. And actually one resulted in getting quite violent. A guy ended up, getting quite violent with me, which I couldn't believe was happening at the time. I was like, how the hell have I allowed this to take place? So you end up getting very angry with yourself. So I put up with this behavior as my low self-esteem would just justify their actions as acceptable, because I was so desperate for love and affection. You know, that's the thing. It's like I was really desperate for it, you know, so I just put up with it. I didn't want to be alone. So it's important for them to realize that it's entirely acceptable to ask for help, and that it's normal to make mistakes, as this will prevent you from disliking yourself so much. So just remembering that, you know, we're only human, you know, ancient immortal beings of light, yes, but living out temporary human experiences. So, you know, we all make mistakes, and we've got to learn to forgive ourselves. So I'm going to look at 3 simple steps to restore self-esteem, inner peace, and true purpose next. Okay, so, and these are 3 steps that we can keep on going back to if we fall out of the loop. Oracle of the Mermaid says, then I told my mum that she was a narcissist. Well, you told your mum she was a narcissist. And how did she respond to that, Oracle of the Mermaid? That would be interesting, you know, conversation to have. Say, oh, mum, by the way, you're a narcissist. And it would be interesting to see what response, because a lot of the time they don't want to admit it, or they don't even realize. And actually the traits of narcissism are quite interesting as well, because narcissists actually, you know, they come across as being the nicest people when you first meet them, and you think, oh wow, they're amazing and everyone loves them and all the rest of it. And it's only after being with them for a while that the cracks start to show. So, you know, it's it's an interesting one. So Christina says, yeah, it was someone I met at grad school and ignored the red flags, but it ended up being a toxic relationship. Mainly infidelity on his part, super selfish human. Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, there can be real charmers, Bonnie. Absolutely. So 3 simple steps to restore inner peace, true purpose, and self-esteem. First is to release all self-doubt and anxiety. All right. So realize that the beliefs you hold about yourself, analyze the beliefs that you hold about yourself and identify where they've originated from, and consciously make a decision to release the ones that restrict your happiness. All right. So find where they stem from. Stop procrastinating. If we fail, we're actually one step closer to success. And recognize the relief you feel when forgiving yourself and others. And remember that it's not always about you. It's not always all about you. So usually the self-doubt or other restrictive emotions you carry through life originate from a point in time, usually between the years of 0 and 7. And during meditation, like, I was able to trace mine back to when I was at primary school, and I was humiliated by one of my teachers who told me I was too big for my boots. So I was only I think I was about 6 years old, and it was in front of a class full of other kids. And I just remember my face going bright red, and I nearly exploded with heat. You know, my head nearly popped. So this embarrassment would resurface for me until my late teens, and would be triggered by any situation which demanded that I speak my authentic truth. So to avoid such awkward encounters, I decided to stay quiet and not assert myself. And this became my script for many years to keep me safe. So this is, you know, how it played out for me. So identifying your trigger is very, very important. So we'll talk about that in just a second. Hello, Michelle Barnett. Nice to see you. How are you today? really great. We're talking about sensitive starseeds, empaths, and the pitfalls of all of that, and we're looking at narcissism. But at the moment, we're looking at identifying your triggers as well. So, you know, just take a few moments to relax, close your eyes, and breathe deeply. Now, what I'd like you to do is just imagine a white light entering through the top of your head until it floods through your entire body. Now, next, ask your higher self to identify the first time you felt the emotion that you're having difficulty with. And you don't have to have a conscious memory of it. So, you know, don't worry, but use your intuition to reveal the relevant insights. Okay. So once you have an idea, ask yourself whereabouts the emotion is in your body, and then just imagine breathing white light into that space until it completely dissolves. Set an intention in the form of an affirmation or a mantra to transform the emotion, banishing it across all time, space, dimension, and reality. And then ask your angels and guides to clear this away and to give you new guidance of new ways of responding so that you can continue to become more joyous, confident, and fulfilled. Okay. And then, you know, start to become aware of your breath again and open your eyes and become more present into the moment. So, you know, that will really help to clear away those old patterns of low self-esteem. And that's worked for me a lot over the years. So hello, Melissa, nice to see you. MTNLT. So people who hurt anyone need something within themselves. Yes, exactly. People, they need a lot of healing. They do indeed. You see that everything becomes a mirror, really. So everyone is playing a part in your own story. And actually, sometimes we have to recognize that our baddies loved us enough to teach us to be able to evolve onto new ways of being. So it takes us out of the role of being the victim and actually puts us into a state of empowerment. All right. So this is the key to it. Yeah, so you're basically just clearing away the thing that there's the trigger, you know, the root cause that normally develops between the years of 0 and 7. So Bonnie says, I'm still working on that. The therapist has been helping with those beliefs from childhood. My mother was verbally abusive, and it's taken me over 50 years to figure out. Absolutely, it can do, because you know, because we look at our parents as being like, "Mummy, are you a goddess?" We believe that our parents are gods and goddesses a lot of the time, like Father God and Mother Earth. And when, you know, we believe that their behaviors, because we don't have anything to compare it to, are normal and loving and lovely, but actually they've come in with their own baggage as well. So we have to forgive our parents first before we can forgive ourselves, and then we can forgive God. So it's like a process that has to take place. You've got to go through that process, but until you've forgiven your parents, you can't forgive yourself. So Oracle of the Mermaid says, I'm trying to remember what she said. It was like 15 years ago. I wasn't mean about it. I just I was just informing her what had been revealed to me. No, absolutely. And I think, you know, it's an important thing to do as well, you know, is to have those conversations with the perpetrators or the people that you know have holding the beef with, basically, and feel like you can express that, because a lot of the time when we hold on to that resentment or whatever it is, it can cause a disease, you know, if you've been holding on to it for years, and it becomes a chronic condition. So yeah, so that's an interesting way of looking at it, and I'm glad that you confronted that, because, you know, that way, you know, you can start opening up a dialogue and see it from their perspective as well as your own. Because a lot of the time when we forgive, we all only ever forgive from our own perspective at a conscious level, but we have to learn to forgive from the other person's perspective too. So heightening our awareness to you know, to realize it's not always just about us, and you know, and that's where we can move on and actually start, you know, looking at the suchness of life as being absolutely perfect, and not holding on to anything that's, you know, that's going to keep you in disease, because that's the key. You know, we're forgiving really for ourselves and not for other people. So, okay, so we're going to look at energy vampires. Right, so an energy vampire is another term really for a narcissist. And if you've been feeling the victim of an energy vampire, you see what's happening is we're moving organically towards more of a Syrian culture on the planet. More and more of us are becoming more sensitive to the needs of the planet and other people. However, not everyone is evolving at the same rate. All right, so we need to be able to sort of look at ways in which that we can, you know, move away from these energy vampires. And you know what you can do is things like identify and retreat, take control of your time, stop arguing, look for things that make you feel good, turn the other cheek, keep off Facebook, keep create a group dynamic, divert your gaze, change the subject, and don't react. Now I think we covered a lot of this up last week, so if you haven't already watched this episode, then go back to last week's episode and we talk about how to slay an energy vampire in that session, and it's really, really good to you know, to sort of recognize those traits. But narcissism is, you know, is definitely something that we, you know, that we have to sort of recognize the traits of the narcissist, because when we recognize the traits of the narcissist, we can identify and make sure we don't go back into, you know, into that type of dynamic again in the future for your own good, really. So Chi-Chi says, empath, cool, this caught my attention. I'm empath, also just late. You are late today. That's okay though. And okay, I haven't been able to forgive her or my father. I want to let go of all of that and heal, because I know that the bad relationships I've chosen to be in are directly because of that. That's right. So many blessings back to you. Should have said that from the beginning. Thank you for this information. It's fine, no problem at all. I had to leave and also put boundaries of no contact to stay away from me with the last one. Yeah, no, it's a good way of doing it, putting the boundaries up and just saying that, you know, empowering yourself and saying, look, I'm not prepared to put up with this. I don't have to put up with this. Why should I? And, you know, and it's like, it's just self-preservation, isn't it, at the end of the day? And, you know, that you do have the power and the ability to be able to say yes or no. So I think that's really important. So, yeah, so Chi-Chi, so have you ever been in a narcissistic relationship before or had any experiences like that? Because, you know, we're just talking about really what the pitfalls of being an empath today. And, you know, because it's not all peaches and cream and rainbows and lollipops, you know, it's not. You know, it's great that we're all finding out now that, you know, we are Pleiadian starseeds and Orion starseeds and Andromedan starseeds, all about loving and giving and all the rest of it. But if we're constantly giving our power away and it's being abused by the external other, then something needs to shift and something needs to change, because otherwise we can get angry, we can get, you know, frustrated, we can go into shock and trauma as well. So, you know, really empowerment of the self, of the divine feminine usually, is very, very important aspect of evolving towards a Syrian culture on our planet right now. So there is there's a you know, there are stages to awakening as well that take place, and you know, I think that that's very important to know as well. You know, that it's doesn't just happen overnight. This is something that you know, sort of takes place over a period of time. So, you know, there are lots of different tools and techniques that we can use to be able to overcome this through, you know, hypnotic practices or changing beliefs at a subconscious level, behaviors and patterns and programs, doing our shadow work, the inner child healing as well is another great way to be able to do it. So, you know, this is very important to remember that there isn't just one way. I mean, art therapy is another great way to do that as well. So there are loads and loads of different ways. Forgiveness through Ho'oponopono, you know, protection mantras as well, you know, making sure that we've protected ourselves is cool. Ancestral healing and clearing is also very, very powerful way of being able to move beyond that. So if you've had any of those forms of healing before, let me know, and let me know how they worked for you as well, because that would be really interesting to find out. And also, you know, analyzing your negative thought patterns as well, you know, looking at those, whereabouts have those patterns originated from. There you go. The boundaries are key for sensitive starseeds, and self-love. Absolutely. Yeah. There you go. So I've been through a whole lot and learned the reasons for every event in my life. That's great, Chi-Chi. Well done. And just patiently waiting for the next phase of your life. Brilliant. Okay. Excellent. Bonnie says it was really hard to, so keeping those boundaries. Now, it's been a year since I saw him, and the last time and tried to approach me and be charming, I didn't buy into it. Good. And Joe Hayden says, I'm learning it's not my responsibility to make another person happy. Narcissists drain energy, and I'm never satisfied. I only see my mother when I'm strong and grounded. And Mar says she's learning to stay away from energy healers as well. Fantastic. Well done, Mar. Excellent. I'm using several different ways now, and I'm still new at these different ways. Absolutely. Well, you know, that's the thing, you know, sometimes it just takes a while to be able to sort of work out what's right for you and what works for you as well. Like, I've tried all sorts of things along the way as well, you know, but I found that for me, color therapy works. It helps me identify what's actually going on because my conscious mind can't work it out. So I like the fact that like things like the color mirrors, they help me to understand, you know, a conscious level and a subconscious level, because this is like the conscious mind and this is the subconscious mind in the bottles, you know, what it is that is, you know, what it is that's blocking me. And when I realize it, I can deal with it and I can overcome it. And then I just bathe and I clear that pattern from the cellular memory so it doesn't affect me moving forward. So, but we all have different things. Some people like sound healing, you know, some people like Reiki, some people prefer counseling, holistic counseling, or art therapy, or hypnosis, you know, and not one way fits everybody, you know. That's the thing, you know. So we're all unique and we're all so different, and you know, sometimes, you know, we don't all get the same benefits from the same holistic methods and practices. So trust what comes up for you. You know, being an empath, you know, you'll know intuitively what feels right for you. Yeah, exactly. Using a combination of therapies is a great way, because you'll be unfolding organically as you go through this shedding. And of course, until we've done the shedding, we can't align to the oversoul of the earth and exist out of the fear matrix, which is kind of like what is the old paradigm of the earth. Is where we're caught in that old stuck system of like feeling disempowered and being disempowered, whether that's through relationships, intimate relationships within your family or the government, or just the old world order, you know. And absolutely, it's not your responsibility to make another person happy. It really isn't. You know, you can want what's best for other people, but you can't do it for them. So, you know, it can be quite a painful lesson to go through, because you almost feel like you're giving up on people, but you're not. You're just giving them the space to be able to evolve at their own pace. And actually, you're going out of judgment that they're doing something wrong as well. And judgment is, you know, is one of those things, I think, you know, where, you know, that keeps us in separation. And of course, the Syrian culture is more of a unity consciousness. So to be able to exist in a unified manner, we have to step out of judgment. Otherwise, we're stuck in duality. So yeah, that's what happens. So hi, Ashley. Nice to see you here. I hope you've had a great week so far as well. I can't believe how busy it's been. I did a numerology level 2 workshop in Perth on Sunday. And it was, well, it was only 2 days ago now, wasn't it? But it was just been so manic after that as well. So we had a brilliant course. It was awesome. Such an amazing group of women that all turned up and have, you know, sort of improved their numerology skills to the next level. And yesterday was going ballistic as well. It's just like one of those things. It's kind of like uncharted territory for the Dreamtime Academy. We just seem to be going from strength to strength, and it's just been such a joy as well to be part of this journey. And Chichi says you fade in and out with volume, just letting you know, but it's not that bad. So I'm fading in and out, am I, with the volume? Maybe if I move my microphone there, that might help a little bit. Is that better? That should be fine. I think it's because my head's moving from direction to direction. And my microphone was over to the right hand side. Hello again to Sydney Faith. It's nice to see you here. How are you, Sydney, today? Hopefully really good. We've been talking about narcissism, and we've been talking about, you know, the pitfalls of being a sensitive empath, and you know, and why sometimes, you know, it's a blessing, you know, to be able to feel things. Let's face it, you know, I'd rather be a person that feels things than to not be a person that feels things. You know, I wouldn't want to just not be able to tap into my intuition and my sensitivity and my compassion. But there is a downside to it as well. So what sort of things have you noticed for coming up for you, within your own wellness practices or your own healing, or your own family dynamics? What have you noticed has worked for you to be able to keep you empowered, but also stop you from being drained by that type of energy? A lot of pain from fibromyalgia, but feeling good. Okay, wow. Okay, so often things like that can be helped and assisted with bushflower essences are really good, and also color remedies can really assist with that as well, Sydney. I think it's your network connection. Oh, it could be, yeah, it could be the network connection potentially. Is anyone else having any issues with my sound today? If you let me know if you feel like you're not hearing all of the words that I'm saying. So let me know anyway. That'd be really cool. Excellent. All right. So any other questions today? So we've just been covering this off today: sensitivity and being a starseed, and being an empath as well, and the pitfalls of it. Okay. So is there anything else that you've found challenging or difficult within your own life? What have you found has been challenging for you? There you go. So Oracle of the Mermaid says, I had fibromyalgia, but healed. I was told your chakras are blown. Okay. So sometimes Reiki can be a very good remedy for that as well. So Joe says, no, hearing you clearly. So maybe it was just it might be your network, Chi. I'm having to face trauma from a sexual assault, and I think it's to heal. But I'm not sure. So yeah, often, when we go through trauma like of a sexual assault, it's connected a lot to our sacral chakra and our base chakra, because our survival. So there's a lot of layers to work through when you've been through something as challenging and traumatic as that. And actually, it sort of ultimately comes back to a forgiveness of others and forgiveness of self. And thank you very much there, Divine Femorizes. I appreciate your donation. Thank you very, very much. There you go. And Chi says, I gained a lot of weight for some reason. And MTNL says, yep, good volumes. It must be something to do with your connection, Chi. There you go. Patience, and a lot of patience, as I'm a caretaker for my mother who has dementia. Wow. Well, you see, that's a commendable sort of role to take on, because obviously dementia is such a challenging thing, and especially when it's with somebody who's so near and dear to us, like our mother. And often it's their chosen way of crossing, because it's their way that they choose to distance themselves, and actually it helps you in the process to learn to accept that's a natural part of the life cycle, but so you don't get so caught up in it. Bonnie Clappel, so what color mirrors are best to use for empathy? All of them. Bonnie, they're all fantastic for empathic starseeds. Because they're such gentle frequencies that support your body and hold your body really where your soul goes, where it wants you to go. So a lot of the time the children of the light, like G29, that's a very powerful one. That's silver over turquoise. And New Dawn, G28, that's another really powerful one. And also a lot of the silver Gaias and the platinum Gaias are specifically good for starseeds, and the magenta Gaias as well. So if you go onto my web shop, you can check those ones out. And they're the new earth energy ones, the ones that have got G in front of them. The G stands for Gaia, which is new earth energies. There you go. So Bonnie says, I've got some problems with the audio. It comes and goes. Wow. Okay, so Sydney, what we all have energy centers, spinning discs of energy, okay, which are located in a kind of vertical line. The 7 major ones are down the center of your body, starting from the root, the base of your spine, which is your red root chakra, and then your orange sacral, your yellow solar plexus, which is near your belly button, your green heart, your blue throat, your indigo third eye, and your violet crown. And these connect you to heaven and earth, you know, so they really are, and they go all the way around your body. They're like spinning vortices that go out from your back and also from the front as well. So when your chakras get blown, it means that, you know, they're just like, they're not functioning properly. They might be closed, they might be dull, they might not be spinning fast, they might not be balanced. So often what we can do is, if we go for an energy healing session through Reiki or color therapy, the energy centers start rebalancing, start illuminating. We start clearing the blockages that are caught within our energy center, which are in the form of emotions or beliefs. And that can be things like, or patterns, you know. In your red, it's fear of safety, security, survival. You know, it's not feeling grounded. Your orange energy is where you feel abused or you've been in trauma. Your yellow is your self-doubt, your self-confidence, you know, self-esteem, self-worth. Your heart is self-love. Your throat is control, self-control, and being able to speak, communicate your authentic truth. Your third eye is connected really to, you know, your psychic and intuitive abilities. You know, we hold fears there of death, and, you know, nightmares can come up in there as well, or, you know, and then connection to sources through the crown and source consciousness and, you know, the starry realms. And if they're all blown, then it means that, you know, none of them are functioning properly, and it can cause a massive energy drop, okay, within the system. And actually you can get very confused, and, you know, it can be quite traumatic. So yeah, so often hello from Texas, Melissa Hovey, nice to see you here. It can really help with that. So yeah, definitely I recommend any type of holistic energy treatments to help to rebalance for that. And then obviously you're on meds as well, Sydney. Okay, so meds, yeah, they'll take you out of whack a little bit. And you've put on 50 pounds. Wow. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that you've had such a traumatic experience, Sydney. But, you know, it's like everything is reversible. We just have to have the right help and assistance and guidance that can take us through it. We've got Lil Lisa Slurry, amazing stuff. Oh, thank you very much, Lil Lisa. It's nice to see you here. Make sure that you guys like this video as well, because YouTube tends to prioritize videos in suggested videos if videos have been liked. So it helps to get the word out there of my, you know, my free live sessions every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Also, make sure you subscribe to my channel and click the bell for future notifications, because then you'll get a notification in your email when I'm live, so you don't miss out on any future ones. And of course, we talk about everything from, you know, what it is to be human, what it is to be a starseed, whether you're from Lyra, Andromeda, Arcturus, or the Pleiades, or wherever. But also we deal with some very human, real human conditions as well, 20th century human conditions that can really help us. Thank you so much, Ashley. I love the colors you've chosen today. Look at that beautiful golden yellow there. This is you've almost chosen the colors of the wisdom bottle there, Ashley. Look, that's the wisdom bottle. So that combination of gold and yellow is connected to, it's number 21. So it's like traditionally at the age of 21, we get the key to the door to be able to move us, you know, away from our ego-based power and into our authentic power. So it's where we recognize our value and start being the alchemist in our own life. So yeah, so it's an expansion that takes place as we transition between ego and authentic power. So that's the beautiful color combination to bring into that. And that's a little hidden message there into everybody as well that's working with me this morning. There you go. So Divine Femme Arise says, as a child and later in life, I felt like I was expected to compete with mom, and that I had no interest in competing. It was like they were putting me in the middle of a battle with their own selves. Yeah, I had that with my mum and dad as well. So they used to say, oh, we'll stay together because of the kids. You know, we were just like, oh, thanks for that. You know what I mean? So like for me as a very sensitive little starseed, I was like, oh my God, my mum's going to leave. And she always used to say, I'm leaving, I'm going. And she'd get in the car and she'd rev the engine. I'm leaving, like that. You'll never see me again. And like as kids, we were like, Mommy, oh, you know, so it was horrible being caught in that. And they still try and play that control drama out now. Like my dad's obviously remarried now, so is my mum. They live in different countries. But, you know, they still like, you know, try and keep me and my sister caught in the middle of their dramas, that even though they don't speak anymore. So still that poisoning of the mind that tries to take place. It can be quite challenging. There you go. So Bonnie Capel says, I've been told my sacral chakra is almost totally blocked. Wow. There you go. There you go. So sacral chakra, you know, sacral chakra energy is this one here. And actually, there's two remedies that are good for sacral chakra. So this is like in the color mirror system. This bottle here is called sacral chakra, and it's gold over orange. And also this one is the evolved sacral chakra color, which is gold. Orange over rose pink. Orange over rose pink. So it's like Bollywood color, isn't it? So that is where you bring love into the shock and trauma and abuse, and you recognize that your baddies loved you enough to teach you the lessons that your soul needed to be able to grow and evolve. Okay, so it takes you out of the role of the victim. So that's the evolution of the sacral chakra, is sending love into the shock, trauma, and abuse. Okay. There you go. Oracle of the Moment says, I was eating my feelings, and once I woke up and realized what an empath was, I turned into a hermit and started learning about crystals and crying and healing. That's it. A lot of the time, that's when crystals or color come into your life. It's when you're ready to take back the power. There you go. And it's also affected all of my others. Well, it will do, Bonnie. Of course, they've all got to be balanced and in harmony and spinning synchronistically. That's why I teach Reiki, because it's a very great tool for being able to self-heal. So it's not only good for helping other people heal, it's good for self-healing as well. It's the only modality that actually you can work, well, one of the only modalities that you can work on your own stuff. There you go. So Divine Feminize says, oh my God, my toddler put 3 little yellow toys in my navel today. There you go. There you go. So putting the yellow energy into your power center, maybe helping to rebalance that beautiful self-worth and releasing the self-doubt. Melissa says, would you please share traits of those from Orion? Yeah, we can look at that for sure. Ashley says, nice. Sydney Faith says, that sounds so accurate, and look up Spoonie for my fibro sister and join Fibro Warriors on Facebook. And yeah, right now, one of my meds has caused violent tremors and muscle spasms. Wow. So sorry to hear that, Sydney. Same with my parents. I had to ask my mum for money and my dad to take care of us, and she would fetch me out as if I was not a literal 6-year-old child. Yeah, we used to, me and my sister, well, my sister actually, older sister, 2 years older, she used to go into the bedroom, and my dad, like, he would work had his own business, and he used to keep a big wad of cash in his pocket. So she used to throw a 20 under the bed in their bedroom, and then if he didn't notice it was gone, she'd go back and claim it. So I learned a few tricks off her. But that's because, you know, you could never ask my dad for money, because he would always be like, oh no, son, you can't have any money. You know, it was always like that. My mum would be like, oh, come on, Russ, give them some money, you know, and it was just awful. Anyway, so there you go. So Sydney Face says, same with my parents. I asked for money. Oracle says, 2 years ago, I was almost £500 and in a wheelchair. Wow. And 8 scripts a day. Now nothing. I recommend cyanide. It aligns all the chakras and corresponds with Archangel Michael. Fantastic. I love that. Yes, cyanide or kyanite is a very, very beautiful one. There you go. So Bonnie says, can it cause brain fog, fibromyalgia, COPD, hypothyroidism, PTSD, anxiety disorder, ADD, bipolar, depression, asthma? Lately, the past year, I've been feeling like I'm on a boat. Balance is bad. Wow, that's a lot of stuff going on there. And a lot of the time, you know, the meds and stuff like that, they, you know, they do have a little bit of a you know, a sort of negative effect on our energetic bodies. But in the same way, so does sugar, you know, and stuff like that, and junk food. So we just have to take responsibility for our own actions and actually, you know, start doing the clearing up, because, you know, really we can still use vibrational remedies as well as take medication. So I'd never stop people from taking medication. You know, you might need it, but you can use vibrational remedies alongside as a complementary. And then who knows, eventually you might wean yourself off. Okay, so Sydney Faith says, are there any specific color mirrors that are good for blown chakras? Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, if you've got a blown sacral chakra, use your sacral chakra. You might also want to use your throat chakra as well, because blue is the antidote to orange related issues, because it's complementary color. So, you know, like you've got a red base, you've got a green heart, you've got an evolved heart chakra as well, you know, which is this one here, which is called love from above. You know, it's the love, the spiritualization of the heart center. So they all work beautifully with that. You can check them all out on my website. If you want to get some, we are putting an order in with Colour Mirrors in South Africa at the end of this month. So it's really good time to be ordering your bottles now. They're 60 Australian dollars, which is about, I think it's about 40 US dollars, plus your postage and packing, of course. So you just need to let me know which ones you want, and then we can get the postage and package, work it out for you, and we can send them off in the post. So they're usually taking about 2 weeks to arrive in America. Ma, did you get your necklaces yet? Have they arrived yet? If you can let me know, that would be really, really useful. There you go. So Joe Hayden says, well, thank you so much. It makes so much sense. Oracle of the Moment, it's a beautiful blue and helps you to speak your truth with Archangel Michael's sword of truth. Bonnie Clopel says, what was the names again of those two color mirrors? I've never tried Reiki. So Bonnie, you know, you've got the sacral chakra and also suchness. So you've got C10, which is the evolved sacral chakra, and then you've got C2, which is the normal sacral chakra. So look, if we're talking about the sacral chakra, and this is where a lot of people end up getting stuck, okay? Because obviously, you know, this is our, you know, this is our fertility, this is our, you know, our reproductive organs. So it's beneficial for, so this is this bottle here, which is beneficial for trauma, loss of power, and anywhere where you feel abused. It can also help release any challenges you're facing around your sexuality. So like for me, obviously being a gay guy, I was always attracted to the color orange, and I didn't even know why before I started learning color therapy. I always used to wear orange tops, orange accessories, orange everything. And actually it's very, very good for soothes fears and settles emotions, and it's very calming after a shock. So the colors of orange and gold together help you ignite creativity and boost ideas for artistic and writing endeavors. So that's like your sacral chakra, and that's what it helps with. This is your evolved sacral chakra, which is called suchness. Now this one is like rose pink, brings love into issues of abuse to which orange relates. It puts you into a state of alignment with your soul. Your soul never knew or never thought you were abused. It knew you were in a process of learning and healing. So this bottle supports creative ideas and opens you to bliss and enlightenment. And this is where you can finally be at peace with the suchness of life. Okay? Finally being at peace with the suchness of life. There you go. So Ashley says, I worked on an Orion Starseed recently. It was mind-blowing. Oh, do share more. There you go. There you go. So Lil Lisa says, funny, I also do Reiki, but rarely on myself. I get as I give. You do get as you give. Absolutely. Remember that. When a Reiki healing takes place, the recipient and the transmitter, you know, the practitioner, get the same benefits from it. So it's a mutually beneficial arrangement that happens there. Oracle of the Moment, I have Uranus in the 6th house, which is self-healing aspect I just discovered. Wow, amazing. I love that. Joanne Delingen. Hello, Joanne. I'm an empath. I'm struggling with a work colleague, a narcissist. It's so hard. Okay, so boundaries and bringing other people into that equation is a great way to be able to help them to dissipate their power. All right, because if they try and get you alone, they'll try and do it. So bring other people. Make sure there's always 3 or more of you when you're around him, and that can be a great way to sort of diffuse his grip or her grip. Had all of the above, says Oracle. G-Link, hello. Don't say cyanide, it kills you instantly. Oh yeah. Sydney Faith, my parents were divorced and I was the entirety of communication. She claimed my dad molested us to get us thrown into foster care. He was proven innocent, but he lost everything. That's so sad, Sydney. Oh my God, your poor father. You know, and this is the thing, you know, there is a lot of that going on where people are falsely accused, you know, of doing things that they maybe didn't even do. And it's, you know, it's a power struggle that can happen with any relationship dynamic. Wow, that's terrible. Anyway, so remember, there's always two people in the equation. It's best not to get involved in any of their stuff. Okay, so I'm only on 2 meds. I stopped taking a bunch of meds because I was on so many. Good. Okay. Kyanite. All right, so Marshams, no, not yet. I had a dream last night that I have them. Good. Well, hopefully they're going to be arriving today. That's awesome. There you go. So Sydney Face says, oh my God, that's incredible. And I'm blessed enough to be in Canada. Ha ha ha. Crap, which ones were good for emotional blown out for the trauma? Yeah, they're again, you know, any of those ones, but also I developed a whole series of color mirrors, orange color mirrors called the Trauma Team, and they all have an orange fraction. So there's an orange over an orange, there's an orange over lime or olive green, which is very good for, you know, those toxic relationships, codependency, and, you know, having to live with alcoholic parents or, you know, codependent people in a relationship. There's orange and turquoise, orange and silver, which is good for those people that have been shocked and actually left their bodies, like they've had a soul transfer, an out-of-body experience. There's orange over orange is called the shock absorber. That's a really powerful one for really, you know, clearing and transmuting the shock and trauma from the cellular memory across all time, space, dimension, and reality. There's orange and pink, which is called puppy love, which is a really beautiful one for helping to clear unrequited love and those sorts of things. So there's so many different ones that can deal with different aspects of shock and trauma. So yeah, so if you want some more information about that, just email me at hayden@haydencrawford.com, and I can send you some information through a brochure which includes all of the trauma teams, so you can look through them and decide which ones are most beneficial for you. Okay, so Oracle of the Mermaid, did cyanide help with weight loss, kyanite and or appetite? Oh yeah, it just came out as pan. Just came out as pan. Gigi, I used to take meds. I had epilepsy, and my enemy gave me when we were kids. The meds clogged my third eye. I went mad and started manifesting a heal brain, and now I'm healed. Fantastic. That's awesome, Chi. Bonnie Clopel, C10. That's the one I really think I'm going to try. Brilliant. Suchness, not searchness, suchness. SUCHNESS. Suchness, the evolved one. That's the one. So Joanne Delangen, a narcissistic mother, and have attracted many others. There goes quite a few of you today who have narcissistic mothers. So it's not always the partners. Sometimes it's our moms. But we do have to remember we have to forgive our parents, whether they're dead or alive. Otherwise, we can't forgive ourselves. And if we can't forgive ourselves, then we can't forgive God. There you go. And Oracle of the Mermaid, stepping, eating non-stop to not feel helped. The weight loss, honestly, kept me happy. I want to invest in the whole trauma team. Oh my God, says Sydney. They are certainly worth having. They're amazeballs. Ashley Shams. He works as a rodeo, as a bullfighter, and had a lot of reptilian influences as his earth lies. When I got to his crown chakra, I saw that he was from Orion, constantly battling duality. Yes. Well, that's the thing about the Orions, isn't it? They're stuck in that state of flux, the dark and the light. Bonnie Clopel, could you spell out your email address, please? I couldn't understand in the audio and all the cracklings. Oh, I can't believe you're getting cracklings. No, look, I'll write it in here for you now. Look, it's Hayden at haydencrawford.com. There you go. Hayden at haydencrawford.com. So just email me there, and I'll send you through the trauma team, so you can have a look through and decide which one best suits you. Now, we wanted to talk quickly about Orion Starseeds, didn't we, as well? So I'm going to cover that off with you as well. So let's have a look. So Orion Starseeds, for those of you who want to know a little bit more about the Orion Starseeds, this is what we've got. Okay, so the top 10 traits of the Orion Starseed. They are compassionate activists. So Orions can care immensely about the planet and every being who inhabits the Earth. They understand people and know that peace is everyone's birthright, and they'll go above and beyond their call of duty to be able to deliver that message. They are inspiring entrepreneurs. They're not motivated by monetary gain, but spend wisely to improve situations and prefer to run their own businesses. Orion Starseeds inspire people to hold a vision for the new world and lead by example. They are logical and task focused. Orions excel at logical thinking and understand the mind better than most. Souls from Orion find it hard to feel their way through life. They always try and understand people using logic and are characterized by being in the mind most of the time. They perceive the world via the mind more than the emotions and need to evidence of something before believing it. So they can be a bit skeptical, the Orions. Orions like structure and strategy and always complete tasks and projects before moving on to the next. They are opinionated and critical as well. So souls from Orion may have fixed beliefs and frequently try to get others to conform to their way of thinking. So they try and get people to think the same way as they do. They don't understand why people's minds work differently. Their lesson is to allow for this variety, and they are very ordered, especially in their thinking. But not everyone is like that. They realize that they often fall into judgment and judge themselves as much as they may inwardly be hypercritical of others. So, so that whole left brain critical stuff. They are wisdom seeking, so knowledge is their comfort zone and it makes them feel confident. They rely on it to steer their conversations, impress and influence others, and they enjoy learning and adore knowing things that others don't. And this interest in knowledge runs deeply. They have relationship challenges. Their logical thinking gets them into hot water in relationships because they're shy away from emotional reactions. Their partners often feel neglected and misunderstood. However, they are curious and want to understand emotions, but their patterns of logical thinking dominate. Balance and harmony are essential to them, and deep emotions often make other people's behavior unpredictable. They are sensitive and independent. Because they're so sensitive, Orion Starseeds need plenty of space and time to recharge, relax, and rejuvenate. They prefer not to be in big crowds or to socialize regularly, and they are content having time to themselves. They're humorous and funny. Orion Starseeds have a great deal of humor, so they're always completely absorbed in their thoughts. Making a crowd laugh is a real strength for them. So they have a sharp wit and are good at cracking jokes about the world in which we live. And often they've got vivid blue eyes. So some of the human Orions may have, as Starseeds, very blue eyes. It's said that the spiritual ones, such as priests, gain this feature for their spiritual path. However, they can also have olive skin and brown hair. So there are variations, okay? So, remember that human starseeds vary differently a lot, but remember the actual the Orions from their own constellation as well. Their characteristics physically can vary a lot as well. So, we can never sort of really assume too much around the physical characteristics. There you go. There you go. So Bonnie says, I'm definitely not from Orion then. Snell Gore says, Rennie says, hi, I'm her daughter, Audrey. Oh, fantastic. I remember doing your chart, Audrey. You've got an amazingly interesting chart. Did you like your Starseed Numerology birth chart? Let us know in the comments section. Chichi says, I wanted to finish this. Now my network is cutting out. Oh, no. Are there felines on Orion? Yes, indeed. Be safe, beautiful Chi-Chi. I recommend Hayden's Starseed Numerology Report. I resonated a little with all the descriptions, and it turns out I'm from one I'd never heard of. Watched video and spot on. Hayden Starseed. Well, there you go. Brilliant. Yeah, wow, okay. So Sydney, I have every single one of the traits. I've always felt like I'm a Starseed, perhaps Pleiadian, from what my gut says. If you want to really know, Lil, then it's best off getting a Starseed Numerology Report, because that will give you the kind of the truth of it, you know, because otherwise we surmise and we can feel into it. And a lot of people get confused because they're like, well, I feel like I resonate with Pleiades and Sirius and Andromeda. And then, you know, so the actual birth charts will try and narrow it down to one or two that your soul is likely to have originated from after it left source consciousness. Okay. Oh, she said, yes, I loved it. Excellent. I'm so pleased, Audrey. It had a very powerful chart. I remember it. There you go, Bonnie. If you want a report, just email me your birth time, date and place, and also your living name, which would be Bonnie, which is your Christian name that you like to go by, or your, you know, the name that you like to go by. Just email it through, and the reports take 3 to 5 business days to create. They're on special at the moment until the end of July, so you've got another couple of days for only 49 Australian, so it's about 30 something US dollars. And it's a 15-page handcrafted report. That's why they take a bit of time to create. And they go into your color mirrors as well. From the Heidi's as well. Really great. Excellent. Ashley says, the Orion starseed I worked on had a tattoo of a bull head that carried some really dark energy. He's the second person I've worked on now. I've noticed tattoos seriously affecting the energy body. Yeah, they do. I haven't got any tattoos, Ashley, none at all. And I never want to have one because I feel like they're not necessarily always positive for the energetic bodies. So they're almost like a bit of a scarring, you know, on the energy frequencies in some cases. Now, interesting thing is the head of the bull, you know, if you think about Aldebaran, which is the eye of the bull, Aldebaran is one of the stars within the Heidi's. So it might be that he, you know, he might have come from the constellation of Taurus. He may not be an Orion after all. Who knows? But if you've got a bull on you, then you know, maybe he's a Taurus. Maybe that's why he's got it. Who knows? Anyway, guys and girls, I'm going to be loving you and leaving you now. We've gone 15 minutes over today. Remember, I'm back on Thursday between 9 and 10 o'clock Western Standard Time for some live color mirrors and numerology readings. And the same on Friday. We do Starseed Numerology readings on Friday for an hour as well. So thanks so much for joining us. Remember, if you want any information, just email me and I'll see you very soon. Have an amazing, amazing day. All right. No problemo. Okay, then. Bye for now. Thank you so much. And that's fine, Bonnie. You know, whenever you get paid, there's no hurry. Remember, I'm not going anywhere. See you later. Bye for now. Bye.